The JEE, the Joint Entrance Examination, is widely regarded as the toughest examination in the world. It takes place across hundreds of cities in India and is the gateway for admission into the country's most prestigious engineering institutes. It is conducted in two stages, the JEE Main and Advanced Examination. For context, every year around 1.5 million students appear for the JEE Main examination, out of which only around 250,000 qualify for the JEE Advanced, and in that pool of students, approximately 32% of students get the opportunity to admit into an IIT, which stands for Indian Institutes of Technology, the most prestigious engineering and technology institutes in India. Both exams test your knowledge on the three henchmen of science: physics, chemistry, and mathematics. Today, we're going to be talking about a particularly puzzling problem from the mathematics section of the 2005 JEE exam. In 2005, there was no JEE Main and Advanced. Instead, they had a screening test and a main examination, both of which were conducted fully offline. This was from the main examination and was problem number 17. It states the following. Suppose f of x is a differentiable function, g of x is a doubly differentiable function such that f prime of x is equal to g of x and mod of f of x is less than or equal to 1 for all x from -3 to 3. If, further, f of 0 squared plus g of 0 squared is equal to 9, then prove that there exists some c between -3 and 3 such that g of c into g double prime of c is less than 0. I'll let you try the problem out first, and then I'll begin explaining the solution once this wave reaches the end. It's a really intriguing problem, so don't feel dumb if you get stumped on it. The majority of students skipped this question when they encountered it. Alright, time's up. The first thing you'll probably notice is how g is defined. If it's simply the derivative of f, then the whole problem could have been just stated in terms of only f and its derivatives. So the introduction of g suggests that the focus of the problem is on the behavior of the function g rather than its primitive f. This means that the given condition is probably more useful in a paraphrased form, where we take the integral of both sides and put the bounds from 0 to x, and we can keep this form over here like this. Notice something interesting about this fact. If we take the absolute value on both sides of the equation and apply the triangle inequality, then the condition that mod of x is less than or equal to 1 when x is from -3 to 3 can be used like so, to say that the modulus of this integral is less than or equal to 2. Let's call this relation number 1 and store it on the bottom left like so. Alright, so what else do we know? Well, we do have this f squared plus g squared constraint over here, so we can write f of 0 squared in terms of g of 0 squared like so. Conveniently, we can again invoke this f of x mod is less than or equal to 1 condition here, since 0 is in this range. If we square both sides like this, then we get this, and trivially this is also greater than or equal to 0. So if we replace f of 0 squared with 9 minus g of 0 squared and isolate the g of 0 squared, then this inequality could simplify into two different things, the above and below ones over here. Without loss of generality though, we can assume that the above inequality is true, because if we instead used the below inequality, all that would change is that f would be replaced by minus f, g would be replaced by minus g, and so on. Overall, the quantity g of c times g double prime of c does not change, so for our analysis purposes, we can choose any of the two inequalities. So we'll choose the above one. Anyway, call this relation number 2 and keep it on the bottom left again like this. Now we've exhausted all the information given to us, so let's try roughly drawing the graph of g of x when x is from -3 to 3. At x equals 0, the graph has a height of at least 2 root 2 by relation 2, so let this point represent g of 0. As g is continuous, it follows that in a neighborhood of 0, 2, g of x will be at least some real number alpha, which is slightly lesser than 2 root 2. Let's say, for example, that alpha is equal to 2. Now, if you try graphing the remainder of g of x's curve from 0 to 3 like this would be wrong. Why? Because this implies that the area under the curve, which equals this integral, is greater than or equal to the area of this rectangle, which is 6. But this would contradict relation number 1. So there must exist some x from 0 to 3 so that its image in G is less than 2. But g of 0 is more than 2, so the curve of g must cut this line at least 1 point from 0 to 3. Call the least value of x at which the line is cut a. So to summarize, a has these two properties. Also, there's nothing special about the number 2 here. It can be any number alpha from 2 by 3 to 2 root 2. Okay, let's clean this up a bit. Now, we can use the exact same argument but from -3 to 0 and say that the largest number of x at which the line is cut is b and b exists. Take a moment to scrutinize this graph. Now, we're going to apply Lagrange's mean value theorem on the intervals from 0 to a and b to 0 to claim that there exists 2 points p and q on intervals 0 to a and b to 0 respectively, so that the derivative of g equals the average slope at those two intervals. This is just the direct statement of the theorem that we're applying on these two intervals. Clearly, you can see that g prime of p will be less than 0 and g prime of q will be more than 0. Now, the reason we did this was just to find the polarities of g prime at these 2 points. Why? Because we want to apply LMVT yet again, but on the function g prime and on the interval between q and p. The reason we do this is because we have that there exists some c so that g double prime of c is equal to this value. Since we know the polarities of p, q, g prime of p, and g prime of q, you can eventually come to the conclusion that g double prime of c is less than 0. But c is between q and p, which is just a subset of the interval between b and a. And we know that on that interval, the value of g must be more than alpha. So g of c is more than alpha, which is more than 0. Finally, multiplying these two out, we have proved that there exists some c so that g of c into g of double prime of c is less than 0. QED. Whenever you see stuff like this where you have an interval from -3 to 3 and you need to find some number between -3 and 3 satisfying some condition, this heavily suggests that you need to apply LMVT at some point. So that was the motivation of using LMVT here. Let me know what you guys thought of this problem in the comments down below. In my opinion, it was really challenging and the idea definitely did not click the first time I attempted it. One particularly evil thing about this is the fact that -3 squared and 3 squared are both 9. So some students may be inclined to believe that the -3 and 3 stuff might be related to the condition that f squared plus g squared equals 9 and x equals 0. And maybe some circle-related graphing stuff might lead you to somewhere, but that road actually just leads to a dead end. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you liked it. Bye!